Imagine this. You're scrolling through your feed, heart racing from the latest injustice headline, when suddenly, a story unfolds that shatters every expectation of Black Marine sniper, elite and unbreakable, slapped in cuffs by overzealous cops, only for a 4-star general to storm the courtroom with an apology that echoes through the halls of power. If stories of raw heroism, systemic wrongs righted, and twists that hit like a sniper's bullet fire up your American spirit or British sense of fair play, hit that subscribe button now. Join thousands demanding truth and triumph, because this tale will leave you questioning everything. Don't miss out. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more gripping narratives that expose the system and celebrate the underdog. In the sweltering heat of a Georgia summer, where the air hung thick like molasses and the cicadas screamed their endless symphony, Sergeant Marcus Kane, a decorated Black Marine sniper with eyes sharper than any scope, found himself staring down the barrel of a nightmare he never saw coming. Marcus had served 3 tours in Afghanistan, his finger steady on the trigger, eliminating threats from distances that made legends out of men. He was the ghost in the shadows, the one they called Phantom because he struck without warning and vanished like smoke. Back home in Atlanta, he thought civilian life would be a reprieve, coaching youth basketball at the local YMCA, mentoring kids from broken homes like his own, and finally proposing to his high school sweetheart, Lena, who waited patiently through every deployment. But fate, that cruel jester, had other plans. It started on a routine Friday night drive. Marcus was heading to pick up Lena from her nursing shift at the hospital. His old pickup truck, battle-scarred from years of service like him, rumbled down Peachtree Street when blue lights flashed in his rearview mirror. He pulled over calmly, hands at 10 and 2, just as he'd been taught in those post-9/11 sensitivity trainings that never seemed to stick for everyone. The officers, 2 rookies fresh out of the academy with badges shinier than their judgment, approached with hands on holsters. License and registration, one barked, his voice laced with unnecessary edge. Marcus complied, but as he reached for the glove compartment, a glint of metal caught the cop's eye, his Marine dog tags dangling from the mirror. "What's that?" the officer snapped, mistaking the tags for something sinister in the dim light. Before Marcus could explain, the door was yanked open, and he was dragged out, face slammed against the hood, resisting arrest. The other yelled, though Marcus hadn't moved a muscle. Cuffs bit into his wrists, cold and unyielding, as bystanders filmed on their phones, murmurs of another one rippling through the crowd. At the precinct, the interrogation room smelled of stale coffee and regret. They accused him of evading a traffic stop he never evaded, of suspicious behavior in a high-crime area that happened to be his neighborhood. Marcus sat there, spine straight as a rifle barrel, reciting his rights like scripture. But the system, that grinding machine, didn't care about his Purple Heart or the lives he'd saved overseas. Bail was set high, and Lena scraped together what she could, but it wasn't enough. Days turned into weeks in county jail, where the fluorescent lights buzzed like angry hornets, and Marcus shared a cell with men whose crimes were real, not fabricated. Whispers of racism echoed in his mind. How many times had he heard stories like this? But he was a Marine. He endured. The trial loomed like a storm cloud, his public defender overworked and underwhelmed, painting a picture of inevitability. On the day of the hearing, the courtroom was packed, reporters sniffing for scandal, activists with signs demanding justice, and Lena in the front row, her eyes red from sleepless nights. The judge, a stern white man with a gavel that thundered like Judgment Day, called the case. The prosecution laid out their flimsy evidence, body cam footage edited to show aggression where there was none, witness statements coerced under pressure. Marcus took the stand, his voice steady, recounting his service, his life. But the jury's faces were masks of doubt. Then, as the defense rested, the doors burst open with a dramatic whoosh that silenced the room. In strode General Harlan Thorpe, a 4-star behemoth of a man, chest bedecked with ribbons from wars long forgotten, his presence sucking the air from the space like a vacuum. Whispers erupted as that the Joint Chief's advisor, Thorpe, marched to the bench, ignoring protocol, his boots echoing like drumbeats. "Your Honor," he boomed, voice gravelly from years of command, "I demand to address this court." The judge, flustered but intrigued, allowed it. Thorpe turned to Marcus, eyes locking with the sniper's. "Sergeant Kane," he said, "on behalf of the United States Marine Corps and this nation, I apologize." Gasps rippled through the gallery. It turned out Thorpe had been Marcus's commanding officer in Kandahar, the one who'd pinned the Silver Star on his chest after a mission where Marcus single-handedly neutralized a Taliban ambush, saving Thorpe's convoy. But the twist. Thorpe revealed classified intel. The traffic stop wasn't random. One of the cops was the brother of a disgraced soldier. Marcus had reported for war crimes years ago, fraternizing with locals in ways that endangered the unit. The brother, seeking revenge, had tipped off his siblings in blue, fabricating a reason to pull Marcus over. Thorpe, upon hearing through military channels, had pulled strings, declassifying just enough to expose the vendetta. But wait, the layers deepened. As Thorpe spoke, a federal agent entered, badge flashing FBI. The stop was part of a larger corruption ring in the Atlanta PD where officers targeted veterans of color to pad arrest quotas for federal funding. Marcus wasn't the first, he'd be the last. The judge dismissed the case on the spot, cuffs removed in a clatter that symbolized freedom. But the story twisted further. In the aftermath, Marcus didn't just walk away. He sued the department, winning a settlement that funded a foundation for wrongfully accused vets. Lena said yes to his proposal in the courthouse steps, under flashing cameras. Yet, shadows lingered. Thorpe confided privately that the war crime report had unearthed something bigger, a network of ex-military smugglers, and Marcus's testimony could bring it down. Reluctantly, he agreed, diving back into danger, this time on home soil. Months later, in a sting operation, Marcus posed as a buyer, his sniper skills spotting the trap before it sprang. Gunfire erupted in a warehouse raid, echoes of Afghanistan, but he emerged victorious. The ring dismantled, fame followed, book deals, TED Talks, even a congressional run whispered in halls of power. But the deepest twist, Thorpe, the hero general, was no saint. In a late-night confession over whiskey, he admitted covering up that war crime initially to protect his career, only stepping in now because guilt gnawed at him like termites. Marcus forgave, but the bond fractured. Years passed. Marcus became a senator, fighting for police reform from the inside. Lena bore twins, one named after Thorpe in a nod to redemption. Yet, on quiet nights, Marcus stared at his dog tags, wondering if justice was ever truly served or just a fleeting mirage. The end. Not quite. Rumors surfaced of a copycat vendetta, pulling Marcus back into the fray, proving that for a sniper like him, the crosshairs never truly fade. The sun dipped low over the Atlanta skyline, casting long shadows that danced like ghosts across the cracked pavement of Marcus Kane's childhood street. He remembered it all too vividly now, as he sat in his congressional office, the weight of the world on shoulders honed by battle. But let's rewind, peel back the layers of this onion that stings with every cut. Marcus's enlistment wasn't born of patriotism alone. It was escape. Raised in the projects by a single mother who scrubbed floors at the state capitol, he saw too many friends fall to gangs or graves. The Marines offered structure, purpose, a way out. Boot camp broke him, rebuilt him into a machine of precision. Sniper school was hell, lying prone for hours in scorching sand, breath controlled to the millisecond. One shot, one kill. His first deployment confirmed it. Under fire in Helmand Province, he dropped an insurgent from 1,200 yards, wind-whipping dust devils around him. Medals piled up, but so did scars. PTSD nightmares where faces of the fallen blurred with the living. Homecoming was bittersweet. Lena welcomed him with open arms, but the stares in stores, the clutched purses, reminded him that to some, he was just another black man, threat incarnate. The night of the arrest replayed in his mind like a bad loop. The sirens, the rough hands, the cell's clang. In jail, he befriended Jamal, a kid wrongfully accused of theft, sharing stories that fueled his resolve. The trial's turning point with Thorpe wasn't just dramatic, it was calculated. Thorpe had monitored Marcus's career, pulling favors from old Pentagon pals to get the intel. But the FBI angle, that exploded when agents raided the precinct, uncovering emails plotting the frame-up. The cop's brother, bitter from his discharge, had hacked Marcus's VA records for leverage. Settlement money flowed. 7 figures, half to the foundation, aiding vets like Jamal, who walked free. To Marcus's sting op was pulse-pounding, wired-up, heart-thumping. He negotiated with smugglers dealing in stolen arms from military bases. When betrayal loomed a mole in the FBI, he improvised, using a ventilation shaft like in Kandahar caves, taking down the leader with a non-lethal shot. Media frenzy ensued. CNN interviews, BBC specials, framing him as the modern David against Goliath. Thorpe's confession hit hard.